Oh, for fuck's sakes. So someone sent me a link to the speech that was given to the UN, and they asked me to give my opinion on it, and to be honest, I just fucking can't do it. That speech was such a stupid and unholy abomination that begs for apocalypse. I simply cannot sit here and deal with it long enough for a full rebuttal. So I've basically condensed things down to 8 specific issues with the speech that I'm going to address instead. So let's just fucking get this over with. Number 1. Emma Watson is a UN ambassador.
The fuck is this?
What the fuck are you talking about?
What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck is this?
What the fuck is with this guy? Who is he?
What the fuck is this?
Shit!
The fuck's going on? What the fuck? What the fuck are you doing, man? Stop!
Homer, with all due respect, what the fuck are you talking about?
What the heck are you talking about?
Funny how yet another pasty-skinned, privileged, cute white girl is standing up as the face of feminism. Am I the only one here who's noticed that the racist, sexist, privileged white MRM seems to have a more racially and socio-economically diverse group of prominent female members than feminism does? Or for that matter, they actually have prominent members that aren't of the same fucking gender.
And the more I've spoken about feminism, the more I have realized that fighting for women's rights has too often become synonymous with man-hating. If there is one thing I know for certain, it is that this has to stop.
Oh, well then. I can't imagine why that could be. Hey, maybe a good start if you want to, change people's perceptions of feminism being about man-hating would be to, tell them to stop hating on or demonizing men. I find it interesting how she kind of just brushes this off. I mean, now I've heard some people trying to claim that she's telling feminists to stop man-hating, and, well, those people are idiots. She is very clearly not doing that. She is saying that people need to stop thinking about feminism as man-hating. You can see this later on when she wonders why feminism has become a dirty word. Someone with an ounce of awareness wouldn't have even had to ask that question. I mean, you can only buy t-shirts, bags, and coffee mugs online saying that you bathe in the tears of men, t-shirts blaming men for violence or wishing hate crimes on men, and for that little feminist in training, there are little snuggies asking why we can't send all men to the moon. But I should be more fair, I suppose. It's not like feminists routinely visit hatred upon men. Well, except for this article which I've covered before, where Jessica Valenti explains why it's perfectly good and wonderful for feminists to be misandrous man-haters and make jokes about killing men. Speaking of which, there's the hashtag #KillAllMen, or Robin Morgan and Miss Magazine saying things like this. I feel that man-hating is an honorable and viable political act, that the oppressed have a right to class hatred against the class that is oppressing them. Or, I haven't the faintest notion what possible revolutionary role white heterosexual men could fulfill, since they are the very embodiment of reactionary, vested interest in power. But then, I have great difficulty in examining what men in general could possibly do about all this. In addition to doing the shit work that women have been doing for generations, possibly exist? No, I really don't mean that. Yes, I really do. To call a man an animal is to flatter him. He's a machine, a walking dildo. Valerie Solanas, who is often heralded as a feminist hero, a woman who murdered 2 men. Jilly Cooper, the male is a domestic animal which, if treated with firmness, can be trained to do most things. Andrea Dworkin, marriage as an institution developed from rape as a practice. Under patriarchy, every woman's son is her potential betrayer, and also the inevitable rapist or exploiter of another woman. Andrea Dworkin again. Feminism is the theory, lesbianism is the practice. Tigris Atkinson. Rape is nothing more or less than a conscious process of intimidation by which all men keep all women in a state of fear. Susan Brown Miller. You grow up with your father holding you down and covering your mouth so another man can make a horrible searing pain between your legs. Catherine McKinnon. Also from Catherine McKinnon, in a patriarchal society, all heterosexual intercourse is rape because women as a group are not strong enough to give meaningful consent. The proportion of men must be reduced to and maintained at approximately 10% of the human race. Sally Miller Gearhart. And if the professional rapist is to be separated from the average dominant heterosexual male, it may be mainly a quantitative difference. Susan Griffin. If life is to survive on this planet, there must be a decontamination of the Earth. I think this will be accomplished by an evolutionary process that will result in a drastic reduction of the male population. Mary Daly. Men who are unjustly accused of rape can sometimes gain from the experience. Catherine Cummins. All men are rapists, and that's all they are. Marilyn French. I feel what they feel, man-hating, that violent admixture of pity, contempt, disgust, envy, alienation, fear, and rage at men. It is hatred not only for the anonymous man who makes sucking noises on the street, not only for the rapist or the judge who acquits him, but for what the Greeks called philo and philos, hate and love, for the men women share their lives with, husbands, lovers, friends, fathers, brothers, sons, co-workers. Judith Levine. Oh, and don't even get me started on the Agent Orange files. But I'm sure there are no other examples that anyone could think of, such as, say, Mary Koss refusing to acknowledge male rape victims, the Duluth model which makes men the automatic perpetrators of domestic violence, kangaroo rape courts removing due process and the need for evidence due to overblown and artificially produced rape numbers. Well, artificially produced in the number of men who commit rapes, because women can't commit rape, of course. Yeah, I can't possibly imagine why people would think that feminism is about hating men. I wonder if the reason that you're about to quote the dictionary definition of feminism being about equality is because you couldn't actually find real examples of feminism being about equality. Retard.
I started questioning gender-based assumptions a long time ago. When I was 8, I was confused being called bossy because I wanted to direct the plays that we would put on for our parents. But the boys were not.
Fuck me. When I was 8, I got called... When I was 8, I got called bossy of all the petty, fucked up, idiotic, of all the measly, little, insignificant shit she could have latched onto. That's what she went with. Like, okay. You go in front of the UN, the United Nations, the entire nations of the world are listening to you, trying to make this big speech about this whole global problem you're trying to convince them of, and this is what you lead with. When I was 8, I got called bossy when I asked to direct an elementary school play. This is the big injustice, and if there was ever a sign of the privilege, narcissism, and self-entitlement of Western white women, it is this. Out of all the fucking things that she could... Oh, fuck me. And not just that, just listen to that again. To the naked petulance in her voice. That an 8-year-old wasn't allowed to direct a... Oh, fuck me. I'm gonna need a minute, people. Fucking feminists.
I am from Britain, And I think it is right that I am paid the same as my male counterparts.
Well, you are paid the same. The wage gap is a myth, which you would know if you were in any way, shape, or form competent enough to be talking about the equality of men and women in the first place. More importantly, though, you came in 5th among all of the highest paid Harry Potter actors at $40 million. Emma Thompson was 2nd, by the way. You were born to a pair of Parisian lawyers, you spent $3 million on a house, and have a $12 million modeling contract. Shut the fuck up!
I've seen young men suffering from mental illness, unable to ask for help, for fear it would make them less of a man, or less of a man. In fact, in the UK, suicide is the biggest killer of men, between 20 to 49, eclipsing road accidents, cancer, and coronary heart disease.
Bullshit.
Oh, we should be helping men with suicide, huh? You know what? I'm just going to defer to the MRA in Vancouver for this one.
And I took time out of my studies to come here. Well, but basically we're here to shut down an event. 2 of my friends committed suicide, and I want the peace of understanding why that happened.
Is why this space to talk about that.
2 of my friends committed suicide.
Like feminism, for example, offers lots of spaces to talk about mental health issues.
And I want the peace of understanding why that happened.
And we don't tolerate that sort of thought that you have seen before. Okay. I came as part of my women's studies.
Get some addressing of suicide issue at the talk here?
Yes, I did.
You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. You're fucking scum.
You're fucking scum.
Fucking brave apologist, incest supporting, woman hating, fucking.
While we're on that same subject, by the way, let's talk about Earl Silverman. I'm sure you know him because you clearly researched and thought about this topic oh so very much. He tried to open up the very first men's shelter, so that he could help other men who had suffered the same kinds of problems that he had. A very constructive way to deal with something like domestic abuse. Except he was ridiculed, mostly by feminists, pressured, bullied, and unable to achieve funding, blocked and impeded by feminists and the government, and finally lost everything trying to keep his shelter open. So maybe you should take some time to pull your head out of your own vagina and tell your fellow feminists to clean up their act, instead of pretending as though these problems are somehow the mysterious consequence of patriarchy. Emma Watson is a fucking UN ambassador!
The fuck is this?
What the fuck are you talking about?
What the fuck are you talking about?
What the fuck is this?
What the fuck is with this guy? Who is he?
What the fuck is this?
Shit! The fuck's going on there?
What the fuck?
What the fuck you doing, man? Stop!
Homer, with all due respect, what the fuck are you talking about?
What the heck are you talking about?
We don't often talk about men being imprisoned by gender stereotypes, but I can see that they are. And that when they are free, things will change for women as a natural consequence. If men don't have to be aggressive in order to be accepted, women won't feel compelled to be submissive. If men don't have to control, women won't have to be controlled. And this is what he/she is about.
Okay, I can't deal with this twit anymore, so I'm just gonna quickly try and sum up this last part about why this is so pants-on-head retarded, and here it is. Emma, if you ever happen to hear this, I'm going to address it directly to you. You cannot solve the problems of gender equality, and for one very simple reason. Because you're a pampered, feminist, indoctrinated idiot who does not even remotely understand what those problems are. No one is imprisoned by gender stereotypes unless it's by people like you. Men are largely fine with their gender role as the protectors and the builders, the responsible ones who hold up society and sacrifice to build a better world. The problem is that this used to be viewed as a good thing. It used to be something that men were applauded for doing. We made the sacrifices so that others didn't have to. We did the dirty work so that others, usually you women, could be protected and have an easier life. And we were respected and rewarded for it. Now, because of you and your cult, this is something that men are demonized for. You've taken the protector who used to stand between you and all the horrors of the world and keep you safe and labeled him an oppressor who was holding you down and abusing you by preventing you from going out into that world of horrors. But, and here's the kicker, you're still demanding that said oppressor protect you from the world's horrors. That's why it's he for she. Because you want men to stand up and protect women and girls. You said so yourself. As though we haven't been doing that all throughout human history. It was you feminists who demanded equality for women, but as much as you say that, the instant the going gets tough, you run back to the men to protect you. And then, in what can only be described as the most incredible act of gall since Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to man, you actually look around at the men and demand to know why they think you're weak, or why they don't take you seriously. It's not men, or patriarchy, or society, or whatever other nebulous concept you want to birth from your vinegar-scented womb that says women are weak and helpless. It's you. You're the ones running around crying about how someone once said something to you online, while men take the majority of online abuse and crying out about how the internet is unsafe for women. If you think that the world is unsafe for you, when you're the most protected and least likely to be hurt demographic of human being on this whole freaking planet, just imagine what it must be like for the ones who do the protecting. Most women realize this, which is why they don't want to be associated with your cult, and you insult them by running around telling the world that they're perpetual victims who can't handle the world on their own. Listen, I cannot stress this enough. You are not some rebellious and innovative thinker who is flying in bold defiance of established trends. You are trying to shame and cajole men into putting aside everything else, including their own interests, in order to protect women. That is not fighting gender roles. That is the fucking gender role! Minus the gratitude and respect for doing it. If you really wanted to break down the gender roles, you'd be telling women to stand up and take up arms and protect men from the horrors of the world. Or just telling women to stand up and protect themselves. That would be defying gender roles. But you won't do that. We all know you won't too, because feminists can't do anything without the help of a man, but don't have the humility to admit it. Which is why you resort to using appeals to those same gender roles that you claim to hate to get men to go along with you. If you actually had to spend 1 week really being equal to a man, you'd descend into apoplexy. No, I realize that asking you to be an intelligent and rationally functioning individual is a waste of my time, so I won't bother. But I'll be happy and settle for you just dropping this damned pretense. Equality with only one side doing any of the work is not equality. It's just supremacy, no matter how much rhetoric you pile on to hide that. Now, I can handle you saying you want female supremacy, but don't insult my intelligence by trying to say that it's anything else.
You are made of stupid.